recognized for your open statement.
Thank you. Chairman Paul, Ranking Member Peters, and distinguished members of the committee, thank you so much for having me to testify today. Empower Oversight provides legal representation to brave whistleblowers across the federal government. We're honored to represent several Air Marshals, including Senior Air Marshal Mark Crowder here today. Mr. Crowder first came to Empower in 2022 through the Air Marshal National Council's indomitable executive director, Sonia Labasco, seated behind me. He raised concerns that his wife had been targeted for exercising her First Amendment rights alone. And if they truly considered her some sort of threat, why wasn't he walled off from seeing this information as he assigned missions of air marshals around the country? Despite his disclosures to the Office of Special Counsel, a former agency, and later to the DHS Inspector General, no meaningful investigation ever took place. That failure of oversight is exactly what allows abuses to fester. Ms. Labasco contacted us at Empower Oversight again in the beginning of August 2024. Air Marshals wanted to blow the whistle on another disturbing case, political targeting of Tulsi Gabbard through TSA's Quiet Skies program.
You won't believe the heated exchange that happened in this meeting. It started off calm, but quickly turned into a serious reality check. Let's break it down step by step.
Facts were alarming. Ms. Gabbard was added on July 23, 2024, just one day after she made statements to Laura Ingraham on Fox News, critical of Vice President Kamala Harris, who had just become the presumptive Democratic Party presidential nominee. Rather than using her passport photo as required, TSA officials used her official congressional photo, making clear that they knew exactly who she was. These initial whistleblower disclosures were reported by Wendy Strauss-Mahoney on Uncover DC and digitally on The Brianna Morello Show. Despite Empower's experience with the DHS IG failing to investigate the Crowder situation, we asked them to investigate here, and we also submitted disclosures to Congress. Members of this committee and others pressed DHS for answers. And your persistence, Chairman Paul, helped ensure Secretary Gnome became aware of the Quiet Skies program and ended it. And ending Quiet Skies was a very important step, and well overdue. But that alone doesn't prevent what happened to the Crowders. They were not a part of the Quiet Skies program. And a program like Quiet Skies could always be revived if we fail to learn the lessons. The first lesson is very clear. Civil liberties cannot protect themselves. Independent oversight is essential from bodies like this and others. Whenever government cites national security to conceal its actions, the risk of abuse rises. And only oversight can shine the light needed to stop it. In this case, much more light is needed as it relates to Tulsi Gabbard. On January 28, 2025, the New York Times published a leak from the government attempting to explain away Ms. Gabbard's placement on Quiet Skies. The article claimed that her placement was related to her attending a conference at the Vatican, supposedly because of another attendee on the watch list. But the article admitted that she attended alongside another former member of Congress, Mick Mulvaney, who invited her. If Ms. Gabbard was truly flagged for that reason, why wasn't Mr. Mulvaney also added to Quiet Skies when he flew back from the conference to the Vatican? The government's story just doesn't add up. Any credible review must answer those questions.
If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, share, and stick around for more simple and dramatic retellings of big political and celebrity moments.
Secretary Gnome announced their review revealed, quote, the Quiet Skies program was used as a political Rolodex of the Biden administration, end quote. However, she provided few details. Reports indicate that at least one elected official had her husband removed from the Quiet Skies list with a single phone call. These issues demand a full accounting. That's why Empower Oversight recently called on the DHS Inspector General to complete its work and make its report public. Normally, Inspector General reports with private information are kept internal. They have information about personal individuals. However, given Ms. Gabbard's prominence, the allegations of political targeting, and the large amount of selective information the government already leaked, there's a clear public interest here in transparency. DHS IG has released similar reports before when public figures were involved. Accountability cannot be achieved if this is swept into the rug in a private report. In addition, the investigation must look beyond Ms. Gabbard's case. Anyone who abused TSA protocols to target or protect individuals for political reasons must be held accountable. A thorough report is necessary to propose discipline for those who committed misconduct. Finally, another of the most important lessons is that none of this would have come to light without whistleblowers. Of course, it was obvious to Ms. Gabbard that she was subjected to screening. But what she didn't know, and would never have known, was that she was formally targeted through Quiet Skies. Only courageous insiders willing to speak up made that possible. After their disclosures, when we brought these things to the attention of the IG, TSA opened a leak investigation. Of course, this was troubling. The legal question of whether whistleblowers may disclose so-called sensitive security information to the media was resolved over a decade ago in the case of Air Marshal Robert McClain. When his case came to the Supreme Court in 2013, I organized for Senator Grassley a bicameral, bipartisan amicus brief arguing TSA's regulations couldn't trump the statutory guarantees of the Whistleblower Protection Act. The Supreme Court majority agreed with this. TSA still sought to investigate our clients' disclosures as though they were unlawful leaks. That kind of retaliation chills whistleblowers across the government. TSA backed down when Empower exposed their investigation. Those kinds of risks remain. Protecting whistleblowers isn't optional. They are the first line of defense against waste, fraud, abuse, and overreach. If they're silenced, American people lose one of the only tools that can help bring abuses of power into the light. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you so much, Chairman Paul, Ranking Member Peters, and all the important members of the committee. I really appreciate you inviting me here today. Empower Oversight is a group that gives legal help to brave whistleblowers working in the federal government. We're proud to help several Air Marshals, including Senior Air Marshal Mark Crowder, who is here today. Mark first came to Empower in 2022 through the Air Marshal National Council's strong and fearless Executive Director, Sonia Bosco, who is sitting right behind me. He told us that his wife had been targeted just for using her First Amendment rights. And if the government really thought she was some kind of threat, then why didn't they stop him from seeing the information while he was still assigning missions to Air Marshals all over the country? Even though he shared his concerns with the Office of Special Counsel, which is my old agency, and later with the DHS Inspector General, nothing serious was ever investigated. That kind of failure is exactly how problems grow in the dark. In early August 2024, Ms. Labasco contacted us again at Empower Oversight. This time, Air Marshals wanted to speak up about another serious issue, the political targeting of Tulsi Gabbard through TSA's Quiet Skies program. What we found was shocking. Tulsi Gabbard was added to the program on July 23, 2024, just one day after she made comments on Laura Ingram's Fox News show criticizing Vice President Kamala Harris, who had just become the likely Democratic presidential nominee. Instead of using her passport photo like they were supposed to, TSA officials used her official congressional photo, which clearly showed they knew exactly who she was. These first whistleblower reports were shared by Winnie Stash Mahoney on Uncover DC and later on the Brianna Mela show online. Even though we had seen DHS ignore the Crowder case, we still asked them to investigate this situation. We also sent information to Congress. Members of this committee and others kept asking DHS for answers. And because of your persistence, Chairman Paul, Secretary Gnome finally learned about the Quiet Skies program and ended it. Ending Quiet Skies was very important, and honestly, it should have happened a long time ago. But just ending a program doesn't stop what happened to the Crowders. They weren't even part of Quiet Skies. And a program like that could easily come back if we don't learn from what happened. The first lesson is simple. Civil liberties can't protect themselves. Independent oversight from groups like this one is necessary. Whenever the government hides its actions behind national security, the chances of abuse increase, and only oversight can shine the light to stop it. In this case, even more light is needed for Tulsi Gabbard's situation. On January 28, 2025, the New York Times published a government leak trying to explain why she was placed on Quiet Skies. The article said it was because she attended a Vatican conference where someone else on the watch list was present. But it also admitted that she attended with former Congressman Mick Mulvaney, who invited her. If that's the real reason, then why wasn't Mulvaney also added to Quiet Skies when he flew home? The government story doesn't make sense, and a proper investigation must answer these questions. Secretary Gnome said their review showed, quote, the Quiet Skies program was used as a political Rolodex of the Biden administration, end quote. But she didn't give many details. Reports also said that at least one elected official got her husband removed from the list with just one phone call. These things demand a full, honest review. That's why Empower Oversight asked the DHS Inspector General to finish their work and make their report public. Normally, Inspector General reports with private details stay internal. But in this case, because Tulsi Gabbard is a public figure, because the government already leaked selective information, and because of the serious political targeting claims, the public deserves transparency. DHS has released similar reports before for public figures. We can't have accountability if this gets quietly hidden away. Also, the investigation shouldn't stop with Tulsi Gabbard. Anyone who misused TSA rules to target or protect people for political reasons must be held responsible. A proper, full report is needed so that the people who broke the rules face discipline. Another big lesson is that none of this would have come out without whistleblowers. Sure, Tulsi Gabbard noticed she was being screened more, but she didn't know that she had been officially targeted through Quiet Skies. It was only because brave insiders spoke up that the truth came out. After their reports, and after we alerted the Inspector General, TSA started a leak investigation. That was very concerning. But the legal question of whether whistleblowers can share sensitive security information with the media was settled over 10 years ago in Air Marshal Robert McLean's Supreme Court case in 2013. I helped organize a bipartisan brief for Senator Grassley that argued TSA's rules couldn't override the Whistleblower Protection Act. The Supreme Court agreed with us. But TSA still investigated our clients as if they leaked something illegal. That kind of retaliation scares whistleblowers across the government. TSA backed off when Empower exposed what they were doing, but the risk is still there. Protecting whistleblowers isn't optional. They are the first line of defense against waste, fraud, abuse, and government overreach. If they're silenced, the American people lose one of the few tools they have to bring abuse of power to light. Thank you again for giving me this chance to testify, and I look forward to answering your questions.